let me, I'm going to introduce Senator Menendez, and I'm so proud to do that this morning. But let me just say, first of all, it's great to be not only at the Bayshore Democratic Club meeting, but also to see so many people out here today. I know that Vinny and all of you have been doing a great job to, I would say, have a resurgence, if you will, of the Bayshore Democratic Club, and I think it's working. I can see that just by looking at the crowd here today. Now, some of you I know have been Democrats forever and wouldn't even consider voting for anybody who wasn't a Democrat. But I also assume there are a lot of people in the room who either are Democrats or are thinking of being a Democrat. And I want to say, by way of introduction to Senator Menendez, I could talk forever about all he's done for the Democratic Party, because I don't think there's anyone at a state level or even a national level, but certainly at the state level in New Jersey, who's done more to build the Democratic Party in exactly the way that Vinny and all of you were trying to do with the Bayshore Club. And I do want to mention that briefly, although that's not the main purpose I have in introducing him. Over the years, I've watched him when he was in the House of Representatives, when he became the chairman of the Democratic Caucus, when he worked at the DCCC in raising money and recruiting candidates and basically doing a lot of grassroots activity all over the country to try to elect Democrats to the House of Representatives, and ultimately was successful when we took the majority about 6 years ago. And then when he went over to the Senate, he did the same thing. He became the head of the Republican Committee for the Senate, went all over the country, raised money, recruited candidates, spent a lot of time basically trying to revive the Democratic Party, increase the Democratic majority, and win the Democratic majority in the Senate. And many of you know that even today, even though we lost the House, we still have the majority in the Senate. I could argue that that's because he left the House and went to the Senate, and that's why they're still in the majority. And I mean that. And others would tell you that. It's not just because I'm here today and we're in the state or we're in Keyport. People will tell you that. He has been the biggest party builder probably that anyone knows in terms of what he's done to try to bring back Democratic majorities. But that's not what sells. And I'll tell you that because I think it's important. But that's not what sells, and that's not what he's really about. What he's really about is in my opinion, someone who really cares about the little guy. And you know, some of you heard me say this the other night at the Monmouth County Convention when you nominated him for re-election. The problem in the Senate, but it's true in the House too, but it's even more true in the Senate, is so many of the people of either party that are elected now to the Senate are not only millionaires, but in many cases people that, you know, what do we call it, grew up with a silver spoon. They're not only millionaires, but they didn't even make the money. You know, at least when I talk about Senator Lautenberg, he's very wealthy, but he started out poor, okay? That's not what we're getting. We're getting more and more people just inherited money, never really had to work in their entire life. And so I think it's important to stress when you're out there, and I think it's important because it's part of him, that this is a man who, I'm not going to say poor, but you know, it grew up in circumstances where there wasn't a lot of money. His father was a carpenter, his mother was a seamstress. They lived in a very small apartment in Hudson County. And basically he's self-made, you know, put himself through college, put himself through law school, and also, you know, it's also nice these days. I know it's maybe not the most popular thing because people like to run for Senate never having served in office before. But this is a guy who started out on the Board of Education, okay, then became mayor, then was in the state assembly and Senate, I think, okay, and then finally ran for Congress and then ran for Senate. So I admire someone who actually went through the political system, started from scratch, you know, paid for his own way through college and through law school. Because that's why when he gets to the Senate and he sits on the Finance Committee, which is the most important and powerful committee in the United States Senate, that he's going to be looking out to try to help people, help middle class, help people in need. One of the things that he always has prided himself on is trying to help people with education. He's always been out there trying to increase the Pell Grants, get more scholarships or loans for students, because he knows how hard it is for kids to go to college. And I'm going to stop here. I could go on and on, but I really think that it's important when you go out on the trail and talk about him, that you talk about this self-made person who's looking out for the little guy and who can relate to the little guy because of his background. Senator Menendez.